I've competed at the CrossFit Games a lot. I've done a lot of different competitions. I've opened up businesses, you name it, right? None of that will ever pale in comparison to when you receive news like that and have to overcome it.
Bay Area dad who became a star in the CrossFit community suddenly found his life turned upside down.
Doctors diagnosed his little girl with leukemia. KPIX5's Maria Medina shows us how he's now using his connections to help his daughter and complete strangers.
Let's, take us through that journey a little bit.
It's a tough disease, and cancer in kids sucks, and it's brutal. I retired from the sport of CrossFit immediately that night. It was so easy for me to say, well, what is the focus? When children go through trauma like that at an early age, I think sometimes you think that it's fine, but there's a lot more to unpack there, and there's gonna be a lot more that we're gonna continue to work on.
Jason Khalipa. We're going to talk about running your own gyms. We're going to talk about CrossFit. We're going to talk about a lot of challenges in life. He's got the 40-yard stare for challenges. I know that because I read his bio. So let's get into it. Let's go back to the beginning. I want to find out the algorithm of you. I want to go back to the origin. Where are you from? Are you from California? And have you always been the fit guy? What does that journey look like? And how'd you segue into CrossFit and all that other stuff that you excel in now?
The algorithm, huh? I haven't heard that before. No, I'm born and raised in San Jose, California. I live basically around there still. I got interested, I'd say, in sports early on. I raced BMX bikes. That was kind of like my sport. I was pretty good at it. And then I got hurt a lot doing that. So in high school, I ended up switching to football, and I also threw the shot put in track. I didn't really apply myself as well as I wanted. And so I ended up not playing college sports. I don't know, who knows? Looking back on it now, maybe it was meant to be, but it was a lot because of my fault, right? And I ended up working at the traditional gym at a really young age, like 15, 16 on the weekends. And then when I graduated from high school, got into college, I got into sales. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to be more successful. I kind of woke up. I was like, dude, I got to take care of myself. And so I started working hard. I found CrossFit, won the CrossFit Games, opened up gyms, and then boom, 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 boom. It just kind of expanded. And so, I did CrossFit professionally for about a decade, opened a lot of gyms. Then about 8, 9 years ago, I retired from the sport. I got really interested in Jiu-Jitsu, so I've been doing that. And then the last year or so, I've been really interested in shooting sports. So I got interested in tactical games, which I actually just finished this last weekend competing in tactical games. So I'd say I'm a guy who's always trying to find something to chase to physically kind of test myself so I could show up better for everybody else around me because I have something I'm chasing physically.
Yeah. He's wearing a hat called Train Hard. And the thing is that, I've worked out, since I'm like 15 my whole life, but working out is different than, like, let's say CrossFit or competing in CrossFit. CrossFit to me, I used to work out with Lee Haney, and Richard Gaspari and all those bodybuilders from the 80s.
The bodybuilders, old school.
But to me, this is kind of crazy. To me, CrossFit seems a lot harder than bodybuilding.
It's really interesting. So last week, like I said, I was in Utah competing at the tactical games. And then afterwards, I met with some friends of mine who do videography, and we did a bodybuilding. And I think that there's this stigma, and I think both are great, but bodybuilders, I do think from a workout perspective, CrossFit's super hard. But from a mental perspective, bodybuilding is really hard because
harder
these guys
than CrossFit, more mentally harder than CrossFit.
I think if you're a competitive bodybuilder, maybe. Yeah. Like in the moment, I'd say CrossFit's harder. I'd say in general, bodybuilding is harder. And what I mean by that is that, dude, these guys get ready for a show. I mean, you're depleting your body so much and you're all in all the time. I mean, no one is more in tune, I think, with their body than a really high level bodybuilder. I mean, they are in tune with everything, right?
Right.
And that's a lot of mental warfare compared to a CrossFitter that maybe you could get away with a little bit of slop in terms of your food, but you are crushing it in the gym. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, what's it like? I mean, that intensity that, to me, I see the CrossFit videos and those guys are training so hard. You ever get trained so hard you get chills, that chill pain, that chill intensity,
Yeah. And nowadays, my appetite for like on the floor, like feeling like I have like, like acid in my veins and like, throwing up. My appetite for that is not as common now, but I
Okay.
still hit it super hard. Like right before I got on this podcast with you, I was rolling Jiu-Jitsu with a bunch of guys, and you can get a similar stimulus. Like if you got hard, if you got hard, tough rolls in Jiu-Jitsu, they definitely elicit a response. But through that, here's the thing. Although people think like, oh, CrossFit's hard or anything, the reality is you have to be in tune with what gets results. And what gets results is creating a stimulus. And your body then wants to create an adaptation towards that stimulus. And so you're not going to get the same adaptation unless you push yourself to a specific threshold. That's where the real results start to come from. And that's why intensity and effort is so critical, whether it's in hypertrophy training on your last couple of reps of a bodybuilding or, a thruster and burpee workout that just puts you in the ground. It's because your body is super intelligent. It needs to expose itself to that to then create adaptation and get fitter.
Let's get into the journey. So you start competing at CrossFit. Did you build a name and then say, well, I should open up a gym because it'll be, people know me and now it's easy to get people to come? Or how did you start that first gym and how did you scale?
Yeah. So I graduated from college in 2008. And at that time, I had been applying for like finance jobs, this and that, and whatever. And I knew
Tough
that
year.
because, yeah, and I knew that I didn't want to be in that game. And so I ended up signing a lease for a gym before I won the CrossFit Games. Now, winning the CrossFit Games at the time definitely helped, but as you know, and you've experienced this, like you could build a brand, people can know you are from being popular, whatever. But if you're a jerk or if you're not good at what you're doing, you're not going to build anything sustainable. And so for me, it was, yes, it might have brought a few new people, but then it was my job to be really good at what I was doing, to run a successful business, et cetera. And so we started off with one location, and basically I signed a 6-month lease, and I said, hey, I'm either going to be successful enough to outgrow this space or I'm going to go bankrupt basically. And we're going to call this a day. And over the next 6 months, I was busting my ass. And, I'm a young guy, right? At that time, I'm 21 years old. I'm hungry. So we outgrew that space, and then we moved to another one, and then we moved to another one. And then at that point, we started opening up multiple more locations. And then a couple of years later, it was probably like 3 years later, we got connected to a corporate wellness program that really expanded us. And we ended up opening up about another 20, 30 locations throughout Asia, all over the place. And we would run the fitness centers for Western Digital. We were running Twitter's fitness center. We were doing it for GoPro. And that really helped us to scale without taking on any outside funding or debt or anything like that.
That's awesome. So, and how many entities did you have at your peak?
So at our peak, I'd say right before COVID,
Oh,
we
shit.
were, yeah. I believe at the most locations, brick and mortar, we had about 30. And that was like Mexico, Singapore, Thailand, China, Malaysia. We had 2 in Japan. And that's because of corporate wellness and owned and operated. So we had owned and operated, then we had brick and mortar. And the brick and mortar we operated, but we didn't own the business, right? We were operators. It would be like somebody owning a hotel chain, and then or someone owning the Ritz coming in and running the property, but somebody else owns the actual property, as an example.
Right.
And then COVID hit, and that really evolved our business. We pivoted primarily to digital, and that's largely where we've been built up since. And so right now our business has a few verticals. We own and operate gyms still. We service, actually, you'd get a kick out of this, Lucas Films up in the Presidio.
Yeah.
We've serviced their fitness center there, and then
Right.
we help gym owners. But then in January, I started asking myself, I'm like, dude, I feel like I can make a bigger impact online, to an audience that I could connect with, which is a guy who like wants to be able to train, protect, and provide. And these were like really important things for me as a dad, as a husband. I want to be able to run, jump, climb, lift, fight if necessary. I want to be able to provide experiences for my kids and never have my fitness inhibit what I want to be able to do with them. That was really important to me. And I felt like the NCFIT brand, which is what the gyms were doing, was doing great for that audience. We weren't speaking to this other audience that I deeply felt, compelled to talk to, which is like this middle-aged guy, 30s, 40s, 50s, who has young kids, who wants to be able to show up for them. So we rolled out Train Hard in January, which is primarily an online program. And that's been, phenomenal and something that's really been meaningful for me.
So what does your journey look like as far as your family? I want to segue into that because there's a good message there and some challenges. So you get married and take us through your journey, your kids, and take us through that journey. Yeah, as you're building your business and your livelihood and all that's happening.
Yeah, so my wife and I we met when we were 14, 15, right? So we
Ah,
met as freshmen in high school. We got together as sophomores and we've been together ever since.
okay.
So we've been together what 20 I don't know, like 25 years. We've been married for 15. We just hit yeah, we're one and done. Like that's it.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, and the reason why it's been cool is because I'm a big believer, and this is something I'm going to try and work with my kids on is like find that person, right? That king, that queen, find that person that's always got your back. That, life is going to be hard, man. It is. It's going to be hard in business. It's going to be hard outside the business. And having someone who always has your back is just, I cannot speak for how valuable that is, especially for a man to have a woman or whoever you choose, whatever, to like hey, I got your back. Like business is gonna be shitty. Like we got this. So yeah, I'm very blessed in that sense.
Yeah, that's I have some of our best friends out here in Texas. They've known each other since high school, and you don't hear about that often. But when you do, it's like, and my wife, we met later on, but she likes to say we were destined to be with each other. And I always say this. I think that I don't. She's romantic. She believes in destiny. I believe that you find the best person that you possibly can, and then you build it from there. And what you build is how good it can be. So
Yeah, nothing's gonna be perfect, and you kind of. But to your point, right? Whether you meet early on in life or later on in life, like I was blessed, obviously at early age, but it helped me with distractions. Like I knew that I
yeah.
wasn't out there chasing the next thing, right? Because I knew that I have this, like where you probably are today or whenever. It's like you found that one, and you're not out there chasing the next thing. Like it's like, dude, this is it. And I could take all my time and attention and say, how do I show up now the best I can as a husband instead of chasing the next date? And then also, how do I show up for my family? And then obviously our business.
I've
So it
never
removes
thought of that.
distractions.
That's an amazing paradigm shift in thinking. I've never thought of that. Like now, later on, but when you're young, you're like, now I got this. I've got that taken care of. Now I can concentrate because you do a lot of chasing when you're in your teens and 20s and 30s, and even trying to find and just a lot of time.
Yeah. I
Lost
mean, imagine all
opportunities.
the time that you spent or someone spends in their 20s, let's just say, going out, drinking, hanging out, doing whatever. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and go party, enjoy yourself, right? Find your balance. But
Right.
imagine all the time you take to try and find the one, right? But imagine if you found the one when you were like 20. Now, all of a sudden, all that time that you would have been spending, you could instead be investing into your relationship and investing in your business. So that's where I was very blessed that I had that at a relatively early age.
That's amazing. I like that. I never really thought about that. That's funny. That's good. Let's talk about it's so funny. It seems simple, but it's genius when you think about it.
Well, and I'll leave you with this on that note. My 15-year wedding anniversary was like, I don't know, like a month or two ago. And someone
Okay.
asked me, like, hey man, what's your advice for someone who got married? I'm like, well, my wife and I, we've gone through some adversity for sure. And when we look it back on it, like for me, I believe that finding the right woman what gave me like superpowers as a man. I believe that she unlocks potential in me that is non-existent without her.
Yeah.
And so if I truly believe that in my soul, like, dude, this lady, she makes me like 10x. Well, then what would I do to maintain that relationship? I would do everything. I would do anything. I would prioritize it because I know that selfishly and just in general, like that's the way I unlock my potential. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at it through that lens, yeah, communication, this, that, of course those things are important. But if you look at through the lens of like this person is like makes me the best person I could be. That's the way I look at things. So, anyways,
That's great. That's good. Let's talk about your daughter, your
sure.
kids, and you had some challenges. Was she your oldest daughter?
Yeah. So I have a
She's
13-year-old daughter. I have a 10-year-old son.
okay. Let's talk about it. Let's take us through that journey a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, so my daughter, and it's funny. We are still working on some stuff today, but when she was like 4 or 5, she was diagnosed with leukemia. And obviously, that's not the news that any parent wants to find. And, it's the way it's it's a tough disease, and cancer in kids sucks, and it's brutal. And many people have had it worse than me, and many people wouldn't have experienced what we've experienced. It's fine, right? Everybody comes to it with their own perspectives, but I will say that through that journey, it was 2.5 years. And then after that, you spend about the next 5 years until you get cured. So we just kind of hit that mark recently. Um, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about your relationships. You learn a lot about what matters. You learn a lot about people and perspective, and and it also has given me something that we want to dedicate our life to, right? Which is giving back, philanthropy. My wife and I, we host an annual fundraiser for kids fighting cancer, and it's yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to go with it, but it's a life-changing experience. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, no, I can imagine. I just wanted to get your thumbprint on a little bit. I know we have a short amount of time, but it's just such a huge challenge. I know that there's no there. I know for a fact. I'm a dad with two daughters. There's no bigger challenge than that. That's got to be your biggest challenge in your whole life.
Oh, I mean, for sure. I mean, so, I've competed at the CrossFit Games a lot. I've done a lot of different competitions. I've opened up businesses, you name it, right? None of that will ever pale in comparison to when you receive news like that and have to overcome it, because there is no, and I guess the best thing I would say, and this, I think any dad listening would be like, dude, it's just straight tunnel vision. That's it. It's like that night I wrote an email to our team. I was like, listen, effective immediately, I'm no longer, CEO. This person's in charge of this. This person's in charge of that. You know, I retired from the sport of CrossFit immediately that night. Um, it was so easy for me to say, well, what is the focus? What's the focus? There's one focus. It's getting her well. That's it. Like, basically, my parents took my son, right? Because my son was young. My son was like 1 or 2. My parents took him. Business was solved, and I'm very, very grateful that I'd embraced a mindset leading up to that allowed me to make those decisions. So I wrote a book called AMRAP Mentality, and the idea is
What's the name of your book?
AMRAP Mentality, and the idea of it, as many reps as possible, is like, in CrossFit, when you want good results, you focus, you're present, you're focused. If I say, hey, do as many burpees as you can in 2 minutes, that's all you're going to do. You're not going to stop and answer your phone. You're not going to get distracted. Like you and I right now, like, we're having a great conversation. We're talking back and forth. I'm not distracted by different things. And what I was blessed with is I started asking myself, how do I balance these things? How do I balance being a good dad, a husband, owner, all these things before she got sick? And so I said, well, I need to embrace an AMRAP. I need to, when I'm with you right now, do this. I need to, when I'm working out, work out. I need to do, when I'm with the kids, be with the kids. But what I was doing before that was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'd be on conference calls with Asia trying to get in assault bike intervals, and it just wasn't working, right? I was just too distracted. And so by embracing this mindset in my relationships, in our fitness, and in work, I built hedges so that when we got this news, we were as well prepared to handle it as possible, because we had a team at work. We had financially, we were in a whatever. And then my fitness was obviously fine. And I had strong relationships that I could lean on to help us get through it.
Where are you at today? What's going on with your life right now?
So, I mean, coming out of things like leukemia, there are additional things that start to pop up, more on like the mental health sides. We're working through some of those things. But where we're at is like, I'm on a mission.
You or your daughter, or both?
Yeah. No, with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I think that I had this, and this is more of like a topic for anyone who's gone through this similar thing. I think when children go through trauma like that at an early age, I think sometimes you think that it's fine, but I think there's a lot more to unpack there, and there's gonna be a lot more that we're going to continue to work on, and that's just lessons learned. Like my wife, when we got the news, it's like my wife just handled it like a straight champ, right? Just like, hey, we are going to crush this, and we did. But it doesn't mean that the other things don't come up, and life's going to be hard, and that's the way it is. That's why you got to enjoy when things are good and get through when things are bad, and that's the way it works. And right now, what I'm really focused on is making an impact in my local community. I host free men's club workouts in a parking lot every week. I work with all of our local law enforcement, and I'm really trying to level up the dads around here to be as fit and capable as possible, because I believe that's going to help them show up better for their families. So that's what I'm really focused on through train hard. And then obviously just showing up for the family, kids are playing sports, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm currently doing. It's evolved though.
Well, what's the long-term play for you? Well, it's like when you look down the line, in the future, long-term, what do you see?
I mean, I want the kids to be happy, right? I want them to be happy. That's it. I want them to find somebody that makes them happy and them to be happy on their own. That would provide me so much fulfillment. I want to be at a place where financially, and I want to be at a place where, like, when my son goes and plays sports, if he does in high school or in college, I want to be able to go to every single game. I want to be able to just get up, hey, let's go fly somewhere. Let's go to every single game. And I want to be able to impact more men to train, protect, and provide, and women who align with that same core value. I find that at my kids' school, you look around and there's a lot of dads that they're older now than they ever have been, and they're not taking care of themselves. And that's unfortunate, because we need to be fit and capable so that we could go play with the kids and go do the thing and say yes more than we say no. And that's what I'm dedicated to. And that's what I'm going to be focused on for a very long time to come. The gyms are an expression of that, but then our online training is the other things we're doing, and the men's club.
Awesome. Let's do top 5. You're perfect for this. I don't plan these out, by the way. I just, but what are the top 5 ways that someone can deal with adversity?
Exercise. Exercise. I mean, working out is the secret sauce, man. I mean, I got to tell you, we have gone through adversity in a bunch more I could share with you in addition. And hands down, working out is medicine. It's food. It helps you more in between your ears than it does in your body. You learn how to you learn what's in your control. You learn positive self-talk. Your body releases, your endorphins start to come. I mean, you are just going to be a way more relaxed human. If you have something really tough going on in your life and you go in the garage, or you go and you do 50 burpees, 100 burpees, I guarantee you're going to feel better when you're done with that. And so I think that the best way to overcome adversity, your top 5, it starts with exercise and movement, and then it trickles down into other aspects. But movement is the medicine.
All right. Let's do 4 more.
Well, think about this, right?
Yeah.
Micro doses of adversity. The best way to overcome real life adversity is by intentionally putting yourself in micro doses of it.
Good one.
So you callous yourself, right? So if I could go into the garage and overcome this challenge, and if I can get my kids to overcome this challenge through sport, through whatever, now all of a sudden, and this is the toughest thing for a parent, right? You want to shelter your children. You don't want them to have to overcome hard things. But then in real life, when something really hard happens, they're not as prepared to handle it. So exercise is the best way that I've found to do that in a controlled environment.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. So number 1, exercise. Number 2, I think, adversity.
I like the second one's micro doses of, you should micro doses of adversity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's patented. Boom. Trademark.
You got yours. Yeah.
I'd say that, obviously relationships, right? Having people that you could count on, I think is really important. Feeling a sense of purpose, I think is incredibly important, and finding your tribe, right? Finding guys in particular, if you are a guy, to go do hard things with. And what you find is that when you do hard things with them, it breaks down the barriers, and then you can start having real conversations about real shit instead of just like surface level, whatever. You go do hard things, you talk about hard things, and you move forward. So that's what I use.
Good job. I mean, that's just a good stuff. Wow. It's a pleasure talking. You move fast. You really encapsulate, do you do a podcast?
Yeah. We have the Jason Khalipa podcast.
I knew it. See, that's the thing. What's it called?
Jason Khalipa podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's I could tell you're a good podcaster, and you encapsulate your stuff well. Fascinating. Tell everybody that they could find out more about you and follow you and get your stuff, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the best place is, obviously if you're a podcast listener and you're listening to this, the Jason Khalipa podcast, we basically just put out content with guests, with my co-host and I, just talking to people who want to, level up and train. And our biggest goal is to look back 20, 30 years from now and be like, I reached my potential as a husband, as a father, in all these other areas. At Jason Khalipa on Instagram is a good place to go. And then if you want to check out Train Hard, it'd be TH as in train hard .fit. So that's the website, th.fit. We have online programs, ebooks, all kinds of stuff to help you stay fit and capable.
Jason Khalipa, you know, he talks about when he was 21, when he had a lot of energy. I'll tell you, man, this guy, and looking at his eyeballs as he's talking, he's got a lot of energy still. Yeah, you still look like you're built like you're since you're 21. See the delts and everything. You know, you working out. I mean, you work out 7 days a week.
Yeah. Right now, my current program.
He goes, yeah, hell yeah,
yeah,
I work out 7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, I just got done. Like I said, I go to the shooting range once a week. I grapple 3 days a week, and then I do fitness every day. So yeah. I'm doing but I mean, I'm blessed to have this opportunity, and you know, I'm just trying to inspire other people to get off the couch and get moving.
You're ultimate guy's guy. You know, I just I work out 7 days a week, probably not as intense as you, but I did go to the shooting range about 3 days ago. And yeah, I think we're on the same track. Although I haven't, I've done Krav Maga a little bit, but I haven't done Jiu-Jitsu. That's intense. Real quick before we send you off. Now, I mean, Jiu-Jitsu, you know, you can get beat up pretty, but you know, like, you know, every day you get rolling around there, you get, I mean, that's pretty intense to do that, like, to train people like that every day. But I mean, what are some of the complaints that you hear about people not doing it? And then I don't know, it's a tough journey. That's, to me, the weights don't hit back. You know what I mean?
I mean, here's what I would say. They call Jiu-Jitsu the gentle art. So I did Muay Thai when I was in college. And when you get kicked in the face, man, it sucks. And as a adult grown man, I'm not very interested in getting kicked in the face, but I've done a couple of years of Muay Thai. So I have like a baseline, right? Jiu-Jitsu is awesome for anyone, especially for self-defense. And at a high level, this is what I'll share with you. If you and I are in a confrontation, I could run away until you grab a hold of me. At the point that you grab a hold of me and you pull me in close, I can no longer run. So at that point, jiu-jitsu takes over. So the theory is that, especially like for women, like with my daughter, it's a perfect example. If she's 7 feet away from a guy, I want her to run as fast as she can. If she's 5 feet from away, I want her to create distance and get the hell out, because I don't want her fighting and I don't want to fight, right? I don't want to be in that position. But if or when someone puts their hands on you and they choose not to let you go, you need to be able to protect yourself. And that's where jiu-jitsu becomes incredibly beneficial.
Yeah. That sounds like Krav Maga also. They teach you how to like run away. They teach you how to get out of a position and try to run away. Or if you have to engage, then they teach you how to
eye gouging.
Eye gouge. Yeah. It's crazy.
The thing about Krav Maga, and I've done enough of it just to know a baseline, but one of the things about jiu-jitsu that's really awesome is that you could grapple with someone because you're not striking them, and you could actually finish the movements, which I think is unique in jiu-jitsu compared to other arts. Meaning, I could put you in a rear naked choke, and if you don't tap, like you're gonna fall asleep. If I put you in an arm bar and you don't tap, like I'm gonna break your arm. Like, so it goes to the end range of like actually finishing the progression. Yeah. Whereas my experience in Krav Maga was more hypothetical. Like, hey, I'm gonna eye gouge you. I'm gonna kick in the nuts. Well, it's like, I don't want to get kicked in the nuts or eye gouge. So you never complete the range of motion. Right. In jiu-jitsu, you complete the range of motion till the end, right? Assuming someone taps. So that's one of the things I like about it too.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done it, you should do it, man. It's like human chess.
The one problem I had, the person I did Krav Maga with, one of my best friends, he's 6'6" and I'm 5'6". So we were training. He's like, Mike, I got to pick another partner, so I had to, but no, I definitely, it's been on my mind lately. So, and you're probably, you're the inspiration. I got to get the girls in that too.
I'm telling you, how old are your daughters?
18 and 15.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Start with privates, get them into jiu-jitsu. They will not, I promise anybody listening, if you give jiu-jitsu a legitimate shot, you'll look back a year from now, you're like, damn, I'm so happy I did that. It's like investing. Imagine if you started investing in a fund And you look back a year from now, you're like, damn, dude, I got 10% return. In jiu-jitsu, you get 100% return. You will kick your own ass so hard a year from now that you'll be grateful that you started.
That's great. I love it. Jason, thank you so much for sharing. Thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to Bolator.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.